they are quarreling about the, for instance, the grade of toughness. For instance, the Algerians like to boast themselves that if they were be having a border, common border with Israel, that Israel would be not existent today, which is very doubtful because Algeria is a very weak, half-ruined nation that usually is sustained only because some Algerians are mopping their flats and apartments in Paris and sending some round money. So, and Egypt is maybe a chaotic but a very strong big nation, so it's boasting. So, and they are also quarreling like in more nationalistic way, and as if Arabs were not so much a one nation. So they are quarreling about, for instance, this version of Arabic, if it's better of that version of Arabic, and they are treating themselves from above, from below, and there are many minority complexes and majority complexes here. So not only hatred towards others, but also to themselves to some extent. And they are also not very keen on individual Arab, because they are not really very concerned with individuals. They are more clan. That's why they like to be street smart. They like to be cunning. They are not so very they don't have so much misericordia to the people who were duped, for instance, during some business transaction or something like that, even if they are Arabs. If the duped are Arabs, there are no Arabs if they are duped, right? In the eyes of other Arabs. They are also perceived as loud. All big nations and 300 million people, or big nations are perceived as loud. It was the case with Germans, the Russians, Americans, but not, of course, with Swedes and the Dutch, for instance. Why not? Because they are not so numerous. Okay. They don't like pigs, of course. They don't like. They like to manipulate with money, to defraud money, and so on. Well, this is without this street smartism. They like to be cunning. They like to be, above. Or they like to make a transactions and somebody loses. Then that's life. This is how. For instance, I think that this street smart versus book smart. This is more street smart in America. More respect for street smart in relation to book smart than in Europe, for instance. And I think that the Americans understand the Arabs a little bit better because of it. Although it's we Europeans who had the colonial common past, but colonial past, if it's really a good past to be able to say something positive about knowing the Arab soul, I don't know. So maybe this street smartism is something common for Americans and Arabs. Yes, they have slaves. Unfortunately, they have slaves and of different kinds. The slaves which are like everywhere. This is the first kind, the sex slaves, for instance. So, but they are also to be seen in Bangkok, for instance. The girls from Uzbekistan are basically duped and they are deprived of passports and so on and so on. They are promised big things, and at the end of the journey it turns out that they have to be a prostitute or something like that. So this is this one kind, of course. This is but of course in Islamic countries then this part is the sexual part is a little bit in the shadows. So, but there is always some way out. For instance, the people in some of the United Arabic Emirates, you have more possibilities of doing that things, and so on and so on. And so it's not so. But there is also a second type. This is that the people are promised normal job and they are doing normal job, but they are deprived of passports. And I know one of these cases, a Filipino girl in the Saudi Arabia. They had a contact with the world because they were the parents or then the heads of the house, the man and his wife were the slavers really, but their daughter was on the side of the victim and enabled that Filipino girl to use the account and he was able to complain about her fate and that she doesn't know how long she will be there. And of course I was not able to help her, but she probably will be